Good morning. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Tensor Rings, a little bit on their history, their energies, their uses. So I have here next to me a board, and on it is 3 Tensor Rings and a glass of water. Now, placing any liquid inside the Tensor Rings will raise its vibration, clean and clear the energies, and actually produce almost within the water, and this is orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. So these have amazing healing effects on the body. Also, the liquid starts to produce ultraviolet light, which is incredibly rare for something to be able to do this with water, which actually identifies these rings as room temperature superconductors, because it's very hard in the lab for scientists to make water produce ultraviolet light, and it usually needs very specific conditions, but the rings just do this like that. So let's get a little bit into the rings first, and the history of them. So there was a man named Slim Sperling in America, and he was messing around with wires one day, and he made something called a caduceus coil, and that was the origin of these rings. And the caduceus coil, when they were experimenting with it, found that it purified water, and they were experimenting with different ways of making this easier to use rather than having a high voltage electricity running through coiled wires and things. And through lots of experimentation, they eventually ended up with tensor rings. Now, a tensor ring is made of 2 wires, or 1 wire that's folded, twisted, and then cut to very specific sacred measurements. So with the folding and then twisting, we have the polarity of the wire going both ways, and twisting it reduces or cancels out the static that would come in between the wires, and it makes the ring produce a beneficial energy field coming out of both sides of the ring. It actually produces a column of light which extends for about 10 miles each side, and they measured this with specific instruments. They actually shone the ring into the sky at a cloud that was in the distance, and there was someone who was actually underneath the cloud with the other lab, so they aimed it at the cloud that was above the lab, and with their equipment they were able to measure frequencies, and they measured the frequency of the cloud before and after, and they found that the frequency of the cloud changed. It changed the quality of the water and the vibration of the water. So, and that was roughly 10 miles away, or however much it was. And they also consulted many clairvoyants and people who could see energies to get readings on these tools. So they produced a column of light, and this column of light is strongest on the plane inside the ring, which is where we would place, if you place this on the table, you place the glass of water in it, the field of light is going to encompass this whole glass of water. So when they'd made these discoveries of the rings, they began sending them out to people, and they were getting amazing results. People drinking water that was charged with the ring overnight, illnesses just vanished, health increased, even some chronic illnesses and things like cancer and Hodgkin's disease and very serious illnesses were lessened in their severity. Some were even healed completely. Now we can't, of course, claim, little disclaimer in here, we can't claim that this will heal anything, but these are the stories that are received of amazing healings that happen with these tools. So what we have here is the sacred ring, and then the galactic ring, and then the peace ring, and each of these have slightly different energies, and they all produce a tensor field. This sacred ring works more on the physical, it resonates with the physical, so having a glass of water inside here will work a lot more with the physical aspect, even though it's working on that energy level. it will work more with the physical aspect of the energy. Then the galactic, we'll go to the peace actually. The peace ring works a lot more on the physical, mental, emotional and etheric energies. So this is working with the, although all the rings would work with the memory of the water, the energy in the water, this is working on a higher level. And then we have the galactic ring, and this ring is very special. Actually, sorry, we'll go back to the peace ring. So the peace ring has been found to help releasing and transmuting emotions, thoughts and energies. So as you have any emotion rise, we're going to breathe in the energy of the earth, breathe in the energy of source and soul, and mix that with our own energies. And then when any emotion arises, we can blow it out, releasing it, knowing those energies are transmuting it. And this ring's just going to amplify that. It's going to transmute it. And actually, if you're an energy sensitive person, you can feel that whatever energy goes in here just kind of dissolves. Very often I like to, because this is a good size, I like to slip it over my foot, and that's just kind of cleansing the energy of my leg, as my leg's inside it, which is really lovely to be able to be a bit more physically present. So then the galactic ring is working. So all of these rings are based more in science. They produce frequencies that can be measured, and the energy that's put into them when they're twisted affects that, so they can become more multidimensional. But this specific ring works more on the multidimensional levels, and actually when we're holding it, it can be seen that the soul and other soul aspects are also holding it, so it brings the other soul aspects closer to your physical body. And the frequency of this ring actually changes for each person depending on what they need at the time. So yesterday this may have been producing a different frequency for me than it is today. So these have really amazing effects in clearing all energies. And I produce not only rings this size, I produce them this size, big enough to scan over people's bodies. I know some of you have seen me, most of you have met me at holistic fairs, where I do treatments with the big rings on people, which has a really amazing effect on their energy, their aura, and their physical well-being. So these small rings, I mean, any of the rings are great at healing. I make little finger rings that you can wear, and they will affect the whole body. Generally, the bigger the ring and the more it can encompass, the more it can work on. But these can be used great on the chakras. Any physical pains in the body. So once I woke up, I must have slept funny or something, because I had a pain in the middle of my back. And I got one of these sacred rings, the ones that work more on the physical. It was about that size. I just placed it on my back. I was in exactly the same position as when I woke up. Because it was actually next to me on the bed. I grabbed it, put it behind me. Within 5 to 10 seconds the pain had lessened. Within 20 seconds the pain was gone. And yeah, it just vanished. And they strengthen the physical body. They also help to relax it, paradoxically. So whatever your body needs, the body will do, because this amplifies. All the rings amplify whatever's in it, and strengthen it. So they actually strengthen intentions also. You can speak through the ring, and basically whatever passes through the ring is amplified and purified. So if any toxins or poisons are placed within the ring, they will be made into a more non-harmful state. Some of you I know are interested in the Russian pyramids or any of the pyramids, and it's been found in the Russian pyramid experiments that any poisons placed within the pyramid, there was a control experiment. It's not very nice because it was harmful to rats. Some rats were poisoned, with just the regular poison, and for some the poison was placed into the pyramid for a period of time and then given to the rats. The rats who had the poison that had been in the pyramid, most of them, if not all of them, survived. There was 98% survived or something, but almost all of the rats who had the poison that wasn't in the pyramid died. And the same happens with these. It really brings everything to a level where it's non-harmful, so no bad intentions can be put into these. They'll only work for the highest and greatest good. And you can ask your soul also to work more through these tools and to work through these tools for your highest good, or for the highest good of anyone who's working with them. So we've got history with Slim Sperling. Now, I learned to make these from a company in America. Slim Sperling was in America, and he taught others how to make them. Then the knowledge was passed on, and Slim is actually now in the spirit world, but he still works with people who make these rings. He works with them in spirit. The information for how to make these was passed on. Another company in America now makes them, and they taught me how to make them. So I want to give big thanks to Brian at Twisted Sage and for Slim Sperling and all those others that have worked with this technology to bring it to us. And now actually the history goes further back than that in America, because Slim actually rediscovered them. The technology has been found in ancient Egypt, and we know that it existed in Lemurian and Atlantean times. It's also been found to be in different tribes. Now I can't remember the name of the tribe, but there was a tribe where so some of this so Slim actually made something called a harmonizer, which is like this, one ring, but instead it's two halves, and there are 6 of these halves, so like 3 rings made into a sphere, and that produces an energy field. Now I make the field generators, or the spheres, which are 4 rings interwoven, which is more powerful than those original spheres that Slim made. But to the story, one of the harmonizers was given to a tribesman, and everyone recognized this shape because very similar, if not the same, technology was used in that tribe. And it was said that going back in history, there was actually the chief or a king or someone of that level walked around with a staff, and on the top of the staff was a ball made from just wire or whatever it was that they used, but the same technology, and it was said that it helped to keep peace in the village. And that's what these tools help do, because they raise everything in vibration, bring everything to its pure essence, therefore bringing us closer to these natural feelings and ways of being, which are peaceful, joyful, loving. So there's a little bit on the rings, and you can use them for anything, really anything. Place your liquids in here, especially overnight. The longer water sits inside the rings, the lighter it becomes. So the water actually produces ormus, ultraviolet light. Over time, if you have one glass of water inside the rings and another outside of the rings, over time the water inside the rings has been shown to evaporate less. I mean, they're right next to each other in the same lab, same conditions all the time. The water inside the rings evaporates less, yet it weighs less. So in the lab, if you had 2 glasses of water, they saw that the one inside the rings would stay roughly the same amount of water, while the other would evaporate more and decrease. Yet the rings inside the water got lighter and lighter, and they stayed lighter than the water that wasn't inside the rings. And that's because of the ormus that it creates. It makes the molecules in the water spin in a different fashion and faster, so they actually start to vibrate in and out of this reality and the next. The water is the bridge between worlds. Water, we have the waters in the womb, the waters in the rivers, the waters that hydrate us and bring us life. They really do. If any of you know of Masaru Emoto's work, you know how powerful water is in its memory. And if you don't, please check it out. It's wonderful work. So there's the magic with water. And the rings, when you're wearing them on your person, they'll work with the water in the body. There we go. And drinking the water goes to every cell, every organ, really flushes everything out. It brings energy, it brings health and vitality, cleanliness inside the body. Of course, water does that anyway, but drinking the ring treated water, that's magnified so much. Ultraviolet light has been shown to be antibacterial, antiviral, and I mean, they have ultraviolet water purification systems now. So that's going to be doing the same within your body, and I hardly ever get sick. I had a slight cough, sniffle a few months back. That was the extent of it. Everyone else was much worse in their physical well-being with the same thing, I assume. I very rarely get sick. And it can produce many conditions. Now, I'm not saying it's going to heal everything or prevent everything. There are some things which are for the soul's highest good, for the soul's growth and learning, that need to be there. But there are other things which are purely based on the physical toxicity and unhealthiness of modern society. So these are going to help clear all that from the body. So let's just run through a few different uses. I've already mentioned the chakras and water charging. Whatever energy is placed through here are amplified. So these smaller rings especially can be used as bangles. The bigger your hands, the less likely they are to fall off, because they can slip off mine quite easily. But if for any of you healers out there, anyone doing Reiki, wearing any of these rings on your hands while you're doing the Reiki will amplify everything that comes through, amplifies the healing energies, and each ring that is placed around another ring amplifies the other rings. So having these three together is not only more beneficial because it's 3 rings, but it's more beneficial because it's amplifying all the other rings. It can be used with plants, so once again with the water, anything that has water in it, food, plants, your body, rivers, put them underneath or on the side of your fish tank. I wouldn't recommend putting them inside because the level of copper in the water can get too high for the fish and even for humans. So they're going to improve the lifespan and the life quality, or it's been seen that it can improve lifespan. Once again, I cannot make a claim. These are just some observations that people have made, but of everything. So my plants, I find, love the rings. They just brighten up, they become healthier. They can be used honestly for anything. You can just hook them over your tap, have the water run through. It's gonna immediately take on the energy of the tensor rings. The longer the water is left inside the ring, the lighter it becomes, the more purified it becomes. But even just simply running through the tap, it's going to be adding the energies, clearing the energies. It's going to be bringing it to its ultraviolet light state. Even, leaving it longer, the water will produce slightly more ultraviolet, but it's pretty instantaneous. It happens just like that. So hook them over your tap. You don't have to do anything more, just let the water run through. Placing them under your pillow. Some of my clients have told me that having just one of these under their pillow at night has increased their dreams and their quality of sleep, because these actually produce, the field they produce blocks out anything that's non-beneficial, or it transmutes it. So they're going to block out EMFs, and this is shown. Many clairvoyants have seen this, and energy sensitives can feel it. So these are going to improve quality of sleep because they're blocking the EMFs within the ring, raising everything in vibration. Wearing this as a bangle is not only spreading the energy into my body, but all the blood is running through there, so it's getting supercharged. I can't remember how fast the blood runs through the body. I believe it's every 7 minutes. There's a full cycle, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But the blood is going to continuously run through there. And it's interesting that when I first started using them, and even now, I can feel as the blood runs through the ring, I can feel the change in the feeling, the physical feeling and the energy feeling of my blood as it comes through my body. And after a while that will spread because the blood's circulating. So I wonder, if you have any insights on that or any feelings, those of you who have the rings, I'd love to hear them. So there we have it. There's the Sacred, the Galactic and the Peace rings. The Sacred I sell for £12, Galactic 14, and the Peace either 16 or 18 pounds. This is. So yeah, please, if you have any questions, please comment or send me a message. I would love to be there to give you more information. And I'd like to thank you for watching the video. Please like the page and follow me if you wish. I will be producing, I'm currently building a website, and the business name is Field of Life. Now Barefoot Chris is the old Facebook, hello. Barefoot Chris is the old Facebook name, and Facebook won't let me change it for their own reasons. So there's a Facebook page also being produced called Field of Life, and when that's ready, I'm going to probably send you all an invitation, or just let you know on this page that that's ready for you to like, so that we all are on the same page with the business name. But big gratitude to you for being here, for working your light, for doing everything wonderful that you do. I know there's some magical people out there, and yeah, sending you lots of love. I hope you have a blessed day and a wonderful life.